resources. Right.
Hello, everyone. Let's see. I found potions and potions. Brewing use potions.
Pokemon Go's been on the entire time back there, so.
You never told me to turn it off. Well, your bloody felt
So I'm gonna turn off Pokemon.
So I'm doing potions I I rarely ever use, but they're the shortest and they're ones I'll just use them for going after traces or something.
That'll help it charge fast.
Do you know like about the S10 Plus too?
It is a good phone.
Yes.
That's much better than yours.
Yes. But it can also charge. It can wirelessly charge your.
Hi, Steph.
Earbuds on the back of it. You can also steal people's charge.
Yeah. My phone can do that too.
Yep.
Well, the one I'm going to get.
Yeah, I know.
It'll be great. All of us will just steal each other's. You'll just like have it back here. I'm just gonna set my phone on top of your guys' phones. Just suck all the charge of it without ever charging.
He warned if my phone does the same, Mindy, it'll counteract it.
It'll level it out.
So am mine.
Exactly. I'll just get one of your guys' phones that have a lot when I'm done with school or something, and then just put it on top of you.
This is so.
Yeah, well, Brett, when you get out of work, Brett's phone's usually at about the same point yours is.
It'll be fun.
That's turning it off.
Still be charging David's phone.
Whether it'll still be the same or not is another
David's
question.
phone can't counteract ours.
That's turning it off at launch, too.
We also have 5G capabilities.
But the question is, I don't know that you'll be able to just grab it from any phone.
Nope.
So whether you'll be able to steal it from David's or not is a question.
I don't know. At least it's not Samsung's flip phone, Mindy, that broke after a day of use. And there's Z, I was like, ooh, I like it. But then I looked at it, it's not waterproof or dust resistant. I was sitting here like,
So they're all looking at phones because they all kind of need new phones.
Our first D&D session. Yeah, you see it all. Right here. Can I roll the panic?
Mindy's kind of
Barbarian.
getting
Rolls
that
a
when I
pro
told her about
bonus.
Leo. She's
Yeah,
going to get
you
it.
slap
It
the
might be
dog.
helpful if we set up a time with Reed.
to be
Just
honest,
take him
I
down
might
to be
start playing
safe.
D&D again. I might.
It's up to you.
What?
That's why I was letting you guys know rather than not saying anything.
Mindy, I'll leave it up to you with Leo. Since you have Reed's number, you can contact him if you
Do you
feel
wanna
we need to get
bring
Reed and get Leo
Just
down
Leo
there.
down there just to be super safe.
Or you could make you call. By putting his phone number in your phone, then I never have to call him again. Okay, no, I will. For my pets. But only my pets. You can appreciate this.
Anyway. I don't know what all memes
I
they're
don't know
looking
what
at,
all
but
that was, but that was my eardrums.
Like it says my D&D character on paper, and it's Obi-Wan, like a really cool picture of him, and then it's my D&D character when I play it, and it's him just goofing off with one of the big lightsabers in his hand.
We have raid hour tonight, but I've told Kate
I'm
we
doing
really
it.
want to do raid hour tonight when you have 5, 6 of them.
Pretty sure I have 7.
so what's radar?
Tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
Oh. I don't know how many I have.
You, I think, have 2.
Probably heal sounds.
So last night I did finish up the regular part of the event and returned the 30 brilliant foundables also on top of that, so I did get that done. Still trying to figure out what machines to get, serger-wise and sewing machine-wise, that won't cost a lot of money but that'll work. And then I woke up in the middle of the night with a brilliant idea of a way for cutting, and searched up, and someone's done it, but there's no way I'm spending $200+ I think it may have been more than $200 on their system that isn't very big, when I could probably create it for a lot less. But it just confirmed that my idea was a good idea. So need to figure out how to put it together. I figured out, so what they're using right now is just washers to hold down the cloth, but we all know that those will move really easy, and so to hold the cloth and the pattern together with just a washer, I get why you do it, because it's really easy to put on and take off, and it is a little bit of weight, but then when you're cutting,
stainless steel bar on a piece of wood with wing nuts tight when you get it position.
Yeah, but then how do you cut all the way around the pattern? But if you take a metal sheet and a magnet,
that would be cheap to get.
That's what I'm saying.
Magnets aren't expensive.
You might have to have
the most expensive thing would be is the sheet of metal.
Depending, you might have to have a pretty good magnet to hold through multiple layers of cloth.
All you have to do is find an old speaker magnet. Those things are super strong.
That's what I'd never seen people use it, but my brain said this would be a heck of a lot easier. So knowing that your grandma does it, do you know does it hold multiple layers of fabric without a problem? That's been my one concern. I think it should, but I wasn't positive. Do you know? I should say. The one problem I can see with a speaker magnet is how big it is. But magnets are getting stronger and stronger all the time. Okay. That's kind of what I was thinking, is I'd need a few different sizes. Just depending on where to put them and how much strength I need to hold down. But if you can cut through at least a few layers of cloth, like if it'll hold a few layers of cloth in place, that'd probably be the quickest thing. Okay. Okay, I will go from there, and thank you for your help on that, Steph. Because that was one thing, is she doesn't have anyone who likes to cut. And I love cutting, but I want to be able, but taking the time to pin it is what takes the longest. And you have, obviously for manufacturing, you have to be pretty precise.
Yep.
And so I wanted to make sure that, to find a way that I could put it quickly but hold it securely. And I did not like, I saw how she did the washers and they kind of worked, but I also noticed that it would be really easy to accidentally move it. And so I wanted to have something that was a little bit harder than her idea. So does she use a cutting mat with it? Do you know?
His name is Jim.
Or just some
Continue looking.
Or just a piece of metal? Like, does she have a piece of metal and then a cutting mat and then use the cloth and pattern and magnets, or just a piece of metal and cut directly on it?
Who orders?
So Brett,
What?
on my Pinterest, there's this thing that says they always spell my name wrong, and it shows like someone's Starbucks order, blah 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 blah, and they spelled Jeff with a G instead of a J, and then the next person is in the comments was like, they should have called the police when you ordered water with whipped cream.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask.
Your brother kind of got mad at me last night, Mindy.
Brother, which one?
Steven.
What?
I took the pizza and he says, next time, please don't get sesame seeds. I hate him. I said, I'm sorry, Steven. That was my idea because I was feeling for him.
And I didn't know you hate him.
Water. Just keep watching. The Burger King commercial.
Brett checked out what those are earlier. And I should, the greenhouses, I should mark them, but he's going, okay. That makes sense. I think I know sewing table wise how those usually are, so. They're not, they're like a combination metal plus they have some plastic or something on top of it to kind of allow the cutting and stuff. Plus she probably, in that case, it uses scissors and I'm going to use a rotary cutter just because it'll make it that much quicker, so.
There's delegators that's against it. I'm like, how?
And they're already using rotary cutters, but that explains my worry when you're using a rotary cutter and you don't have it secured down enough. I think you understand how that can move enough. Hi, Angel Goddess! It's so good to see you!
No, this is just
How are things going?
well, that. I'll move forward.
Steph and I both ask at about the same time.
Minty. Dad.
What?
Bear wanders in City Hall building in California. Do you know somebody responded, Dad?
What?
You can't put a bear on a state flag and then act surprised when it shows up for a town hall meeting.
I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, that's good.
A bear wandered into a state building in California, and they say you can't put a bear on the state flag and then wonder why it wanders into a town hall meeting. So I asked if any of you heard yesterday I was trying to debate between Pfaff, P-F-A-F-F, and Bernina. Those I've heard are the two best sewing machines and serger companies. If you guys sew and have any suggestions, let me know.
You got Snoke. My dad got it. I don't know who that is. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Who is it?
It looks like Mara Jade, or that's the Sith. I recognize her, or I just can't.
Daddy got it. You got me.
Yeah, I'm safe. Well, until I just fade her off.
Oh no, I hope she's okay. Did you drop her off at her house or at a shelter? And if at her house, is her boyfriend living with her, or are they at least in different places?
Ooh.
Probably play with my phone now, Kaden. I need a few stops.
Okay.
I don't know what quests I have.
You'll need to turn it on.
Yep. He's 48%. We want to reach out to you personally. No, you don't.
Hey, Dark. I attacked the word barbarian. You hand him. Rolls an at one. You hand him your sword. He is grateful.
Yeah, that's
You
just.
should die because he's a barbarian.
I'm glad she's good. And that she could turn to him. I figured it was, but
Look at the horse, Binty. By the way, I didn't do something you'd be pissed at. I didn't go kill a bunch of horses. In my head. I just let them be. They're just over there.
And I'm glad you were able to help. That's always...
I killed the donkey.
That's one of my pet peeves. And my husband's pet peeves.
What?
Huh?
Men who abuse their women.
Men who abuse their women need to be taken out and slapped across the side of the head and more than that and taught a lesson.
Mom, I was going to tell you a joke that Steven said the other day. But then I realized the joke would not be appropriate after you started saying what the pet peeve was.
What?
The pet peeve. She has a
Who's
pet
calling?
whose name is Peeps, who's his ghost from Harry Potter.
I don't know.
What number?
Lexi.
Answer it.
Is it there? I don't know.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, random question. Can you guys bring over your ratchet wrench?
I don't know where it's at. So, I have no clue where it's at. What do you need it for?
Taking apart Crystal's bed. She's got a new one. And my older sister's here to put it together and take it apart, but
Phone's gonna melt my freaking hand
Oh,
off.
lovely. Yeah, we're not even home right now, so yeah. The one we borrowed, I think this guy borrowed it from her dad. So, how are you doing?
pretty good.
Good. Yeah,
I'm
that's
like, Anakin, I have a robot hand.
that's normal, but just have to deal with it somehow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Yep, bye bye.
Bye-bye.
So it shows you it's one of Mindy's pet peeves too, because as soon as she heard what it was, her joke went out the window. And it kind of was a funny joke, but she's like, nope, not for that pet peeve. That's a true pet peeve. So it was a pet called Peeves. You know, and they know.
Whoa!
They
Whoa!
both
What?
they both play Harry Potter Wizards Unite.
That is a wild septile!
Oh my goodness, that's something you don't see.
I gotta
Jan, there, if you get
The Jen's
online
on.
in time, what?
Jen's not on.
Okay.
go. Let's sit here, Dad. Can I report it?
No, Angel Goddess is a not Jen. Angel Goddess is not Goddess Diana. I had got those for me, and I was gonna use them and didn't get around to it that day. And so what we're waiting for is Caden's reporting something that's rarely ever seen in Pokemon Go. Just so you know why we're just sitting here.
A septile. I don't think I've ever seen one in the wild.
I haven't. So it's been reported.
Okay, are we good?
It's reported. An ultra rare septile. Just. I've seen a profile, but never.
And sometimes we need them
What for?
that I live.
What?
I have stuff there to live.
Got it. sorry I screamed it out of his ears, but that...
Well, at least the phone wasn't back near you.
Go there now. Don't take too long. We gotta get brother at 5.
Why? You're only a 1-star septile. I'm giving you golden raspberries and everything, and he's just like, ah. Seriously? Behave!
Because he's ultra rare.
Rumor has it Luggie's back next week, but we don't know. He's in town now because my coworker said he passed by the plant yesterday and honked at him. They're all on bragging, like, really? You're supposed to be in Mexico.
Well, it's his choice if he wants to come back early while he's still on vacation. Maybe he felt he had some stuff he needed to do around here.
That was surprising.
What?
The freaking wild septile!
That's a tradable one if it's 1 star.
Yep.
So he's talking about his coworker that he's kind of filling in for right now, which is why he needs to be at work
So
as early as he is. So if his coworker's back next week or when he comes back, we don't have to get up quite as early. Unless his coworker decides to finally retire.
Good.
I'm keeping these because of that, my friend. I went to 2-star, but it's still... Is Lexi's a lucky charm? I mean, last time we even talked to her, we were about the gas station, we had Gyarados appear.
I don't know.
I don't know. I posted it in the sighting saying, yo.
It's the Canadian version of vandalizing.
Be too long, please.
So the Canadian version of vandalizing is writing in this is making cars look like faces on the windshield of cars from the snow. So using the snow that's already there and just making faces in them. That just came, so we need to get that to Mindy.
Whole chicken, 59 cents a pound. No, thank you. I don't know what to do with a whole chicken. That's a good bag. 88 cents for red, orange, or yellow bell peppers. There's Grandpa.
Yep.
You did get me a quest, didn't you, Caden?
No. Shit.
Did you spin?
I was trying to catch a subtile.
Lovely.
Thought you'd like the septile better.
Mm-hmm.
And I could've... The septile took the entire time through that parking lot to get you.
So what we're doing is my daughter needed to run in and grab something for my brother. That she left here.
Have you heard any word from A1 on the car?
Mm-mm. I was just thinking I probably should call after I get off.
Bye, Grandpa.
There's the old bulb.
So he said yesterday Brett said he had to go over and get his dad's help to get the light in.
It took two of us holding the headlight hand far enough away till we can get a hand in to get to the light.
And that works, Steph. So if you decide that for sure if you're moving here or not, let me know. And if you are, maybe I can help figure out some things. I will say, if you are looking at moving here, the beginning of May is a really good time.
All the students leave.
Yeah, because all the students leave, and so apartments are, within a week or two. They're really readily available. Houses are usually for sale sometime starting in April is when you have your cheapest housing market around here. April, May, sometimes June, sometimes into June, July. Usually around August is when things, July, August is when things start
going up in price because of students.
Going up in price or not being available as much because the students are coming in, getting ready for school to start the end of August. So they're making sure they have housing and everything else.
You want to go check on, there she is right there, speaking of the devil.
Right there.
So if you're waiting until the end of May, I would really, and you can see about it, but it might, if you think you'd be coming here or are pretty sure you'd come here, I would start looking the end of April or the middle to end of April, just to see what's available, so that if you see one at a good price, you can get it, and it may mean you have it for a week or two before, but just to be able to for sure get it. But a lot of places with that, if you were saying, okay, I'm going to move in at the beginning of June, a lot of places will let you put a security deposit or whatever, but then be okay with you waiting to do the full rental until June, and obviously if you're looking at buying a place, it takes a while to get through the banks and everything else, get closing done. And so you can set the closing date for the beginning of June or end of May, beginning of June. And so that kind of is almost perfect.
Why are the rare spawns out today?
To at least start looking.
A log guitar.
But that's up to you. I just thought I'd give you a heads up because a lot of people don't realize that we have that period of time where you can usually get into rentals cheaper. So landlords sometimes will drop their rental prices just a little bit through April, May, June.
Because they're desperate to get
because then they get a month or two more rent. And by July, August, they start raising their prices because they figure that they're going to be able to get someone in pretty quickly. And so you can get, and what they do is you can actually, if you're watching in April, May, you can get in and lock it in at the cheaper rate. So, yeah, it's kind of funny because they get them in a month or two sooner.
Of course, it's been a while since we've even looked at rental places, so...
Well, I've heard it still is that way. I've heard from a lot of people. No, it's not. I've heard that from a lot of people, so you get in cheaper, and yeah, their place is full, but they don't get as much money from it in the long term because you get in at a cheaper rate. So it's kind of funny that they, rather than wait and hold on to it.
There's signs still out there.
That's weird. But the rear one stayed out. I will say if you part of it depends on, do you want to drive or not? If you're okay with driving a little bit, and by that I mean the farthest commute I think in the whole valley is like 15 to 30 minutes. So commutes, so compared to Phoenix, it would be nothing, but some people around here, they're like, they don't want to own a vehicle at all. And so if you're that way, living in Logan is better. If not, I would recommend either the east part of Logan or go out of Logan. Just because the more main parts of Logan are a bit poorer areas, so they can be a little bit rougher. At the same time, I will say rougher for Cache Valley is a lot different than rougher for a lot of other areas. So you do have to take that into consideration, that what rough means. I have heard we do have a few gangs around here, usually in some of those rougher parts, but they are very low-key low-key about it, if that makes sense. Because...
Yeah, but I'm going to do something so we don't have to do it with David in the vehicle, Caden. You need another Pokestop?
Yes.
Well, on the way back, we'll get one for you, okay?
He's taking me to
I'm taking her to the fortress so she doesn't say, hey, I gotta still have a fortress and have David in here whining and complaining. Sorry, her son is totally anti-gaming.
Yep, dragon. Let's see. Let's do this one, and then he can just pull out. I'm good.
You're good? You got it going?
Mm-hmm.
I would have said just go in a normal fortress, but I know you like this fortress over anything. That just chimed.
Survey available.
Oh, well, I can do that one.
I'll check one ball at you.
You got the scout office yet, Caden?
No! I was trying to get, but you're going by too fast. Full pigs, but hey, I guess I'm looking forward to driving. Ish.
Rayhorn's the one you and your dad told.
He wanted bull pigs.
Full pigs.
Well, we heard Rayhorn.
Scott's wanted Rhyhorn, and I wanted Rhyhorn because it's the most useful one.
Hey, guess what? Let's see. Nope.
Hatch 3 eggs.
Maybe?
I can't do that. If it was hatch 4 eggs, then I'll go.
No, okay.
That's a problem. I do not have an incubator gun. Oopsies.
You need me to pull in here really quick?
No, we're good. Oh, him.
Before we head towards David's school.
So back to what I was saying is, if you get a chance, and especially if you're, it's a little bit harder to find places to rent, but if you're purchasing, I would look at the southwest side of the valley, Wellsville, Mendon, maybe a little bit of College Ward or Young Ward area. Wow, someone's planning to come back in 19 hours. Just because, so they can be a little bit harder to, I will admit, sometimes they can be a little bit harder to break into. But meaning to get people to know who you are. But once you do, I think they're some of the best. They're people who will be there for you no matter what type people. Or more of that type of people. And I will say, I do want to admit that Utah used to have a reputation of, if you got stopped somewhere, you could pull off the side of the road and you'd have a bunch of people who would stop. That has kind of gone away with phones and some of the things that have happened throughout the country, and even to some degree in Utah. And friendly, just like anywhere, I will say, totally depends on the people in the area. I mean, you have good and you have bad. So I think considering, compared to Phoenix or areas like that, every part of Logan, I think, would be considered peaceful. But
things can change.
There are some areas that are more peaceful than others. And a lot of it. So if you have any questions, you could always send me if you find an apartment you like. That's what I was saying. We're probably more peaceful. All areas of Cache Valley are probably more peaceful than a lot of areas in Phoenix.
Big city.
Mm-hmm. So if you ever have questions, you find a few places you're looking at, you could always just email me and I can go check out the area. If I don't know it offhand, a lot of them I'll know offhand and be able to say yes or no almost immediately. And that is true for like all of Cache Valley. It's not just Logan, or it's all the way from like what's Avon, I think, is south, one of the farthest south cities in Cache Valley.
Liberty's further than Avon.
Okay, so Liberty all the way to Cornish, well, we even know up into a little bit into the feel of places, even up into Preston type area. From what I've heard, you probably don't want to go into Preston itself, but some of the outside areas are still pretty decent. But when you go over to Tremonton and that side, there is a different feel
A whole different feel.
if you go over the mountain. Honestly, it's not needed, but I would say your first time in your first winter, you might want to take it slow and steady and maybe even get a little bit of
You have 4 to 5 inches of snow on the road.
Get a little bit of instruction on driving before you just go take off. Having good, I would say all season tires are basically a necessity. Just because if you try and drive with tires that are too thin tread, different things like that, you will have more trouble in the winter. But they do, they try to keep the roads decently plowed. Actually, some of the bigger issues can be, the biggest issue,
Black
the biggest
ice.
danger is black ice. That is, period, the biggest danger there is. So knowing how to stop by yourself. And yeah, you lived in Idaho, so if you can remember, and honestly, if you think about it, from a lot I've heard, depending on the place in Idaho, Utah sometimes have their roads plowed even more than Idaho. So for your family, honestly, I think that'd be okay, but as you know, pump your brakes, take things a little bit slower, and don't panic. Few things like, basically, the things that you need to know about in driving, having driven in Idaho, if you think about it. And as you know, that first snowfall catches everyone off, so... Exactly. And people... at first forgetting that snow equals ice. Because our rain usually doesn't turn to ice here. It's usually snow until a lot later in the season, till you've got your first snowfall or two, and people are reminded that you need to give more following distance, things like that. You can't just, be tailgating someone and then slam on your brakes. Because otherwise you may end up like their stepmother did her first winter here in Utah and end up in the back of a semi-truck.
Oh, underneath the semi. She went underneath it.
Yeah. But that's basically what
Crystal.
a lot of people think, the back of the semi. But yeah. Luckily she wasn't injured, but...
Sure scared the crap out of her, didn't it, Mindy?
And that's why I say, especially if the first time or two, they can either ride with someone or have someone ride with them and especially in lower traveled areas, going slower to make sure that they register how to do things. Another thing is, honestly, we have plenty of open parking lots during the week. Go find a church and take them to it and have them do donuts if they can do them.
Front wheel drive.
That's true, but basically getting the feel of how to drive in it. That is one good thing about Utah and I think probably was in Idaho too, that you don't have in like Montana or a lot of snowy areas, is you have plenty of space to kind of do a little bit of experimenting with driving in parking lots without having to worry about a bunch of cars in the parking lot and everything else.
It does look like
The number of kids around here that are taken as they're learning to drive, taken into parking lots.
I saw the most disgusting flavor of ice cream I could ever concoct. Think of mustard ice cream.
That sounds gross, Brett.
Yeah, Kaden and I both said that.
Anyway, but yeah, learning, it's almost a rite of passage that sometime after you're able to start learning, your parents will drive you to your local church and you drive around the parking lot.
I learned how to parallel park in a church parking lot.
And that first winter, you're going to be taken to a parking lot, a church parking lot.
I wasn't.
Is that why you can't handle the snow very well?
No.
And I said it's almost a rite of passage. But there's enough that, yeah, even with that, you can usually go in with no worries about having any cars around that you might hit if you slightly misjudge or things like that. And it can be a great way to get it figured out. So, And that's always my suggestion for anyone who moves to Utah at least, is go test it out. Go that first snowfall, find a church parking lot. There's going to be one within a couple of miles max, unless you're clear out in the country. At which point, if you're clear out in the country, there you probably got plenty of space to practice anyway. And go drive around for a little bit, so that you know how it feels before you drive on faster speed roads. And I have heard in some places that that's not allowed, but in Utah, it's definitely allowed. In fact, no one will say anything about it at all, because it's just kind of an accepted fact of what you do. Obviously, watch out for the building and a few things, the usual things, but usually there's areas where there's 2 or 3 deep of parking areas, things like that, so you can get some good practice in.
Oh dear. Visuals of police pursuit in a fleeing vehicle in Oklahoma City. That vehicle's gonna get spiked. Tire spikes deployed somewhere. The bad thing is it's on a freeway.
I didn't tell you why I was dizzy. My neck was messed up.
That makes sense.
Oh, no!
You remember a couple days ago I told you my leg hurt? I dislocated my fibula. Or fibia. Not fibula. You don't have a fibula. You have a... fibula. You have a tibia and a fibula.
Where's Hanau?
So I dislocated the fibula.
Where is that? Hanau.
Germany.
I don't know. Hanau is in Germany.
He figures the muscle tightened up for some reason and then pulled the fibula out of place. Sounds good, Steph. I may go. I'm debating. Because we're waiting for my son, so.
What? You just roll on your stream. There's nothing going on waiting for David.
That's what I'm wondering. Has he said anything?
No. I would kill that cat.
I'm gonna let you guys go. I might be
cat.
able to catch my aunt online and ask her some questions, so I'll talk to you later. Bye.